Hi guys, my name is Paul Grishko. I'm based out of Spokane, Washington, and in this video I'm going to be talking about my experience as a window cleaner for over 9 years, almost 10 years of washing windows. And we do have some cars in the background, so it's not going to be a super perfect video, but I'm just going to give you guys the crash course of all the stuff that I learned over the years washing windows, and kind of give you guys my take on the industry and just my personal recommendation for you guys if you guys are interested into getting into the window cleaning industry. So I was still back in high school. I ran across a video, I believe it was a Keith Kalfas video, how you can make $500 in one day, and I watched one of his videos, and that essentially boosted me into the window cleaning industry back in 2016. I think I did a couple houses, and in 2017 I started doing route work. I just went to the local small mom and pop shops, and I would wash their windows for $10 a shop. And I think that first day I made like $70, and those $70 were probably like the best $70 that I've ever made. And from there on, I just really continued to grow in the business. Everything pretty much was bootstrapped, and pretty much in this video I'm just going to go over my experience and what my recommendations are for anyone that's interested in getting into the window cleaning industry, the pressure washing industry, the gutter cleaning industry, and the Christmas light industry. So I do have a list. It's not going to be a super perfect video, but I'm just going to go over the whole entire concept. I can probably start with all of my with my truck. I'll probably start with marketing first. I actually do have a marketing sign, but if you guys are just starting your business, the number one and best source for advertising is going to be yard signs. It's very important for you guys to make the yard signs very legible. They need to be very simple and to the point so you can read them. I can actually grab a yard sign for an example here. It's gonna be a little bit dirty. We can kind of get into the shade over here, but so this is a yard sign for Christmas lights. And essentially what you guys need to do if you're just starting out is you need to make a yard sign with a very easy to read, clear service. It's even more clear in the window cleaning because you just write window cleaning in very large letters. The biggest part of your sign should be window cleaning and a big number. You can add in your website. I probably would, but print out about 200, 300 of these signs and put these out. This will generate a lot of work. Another method, which I will put a picture in there, is going to be to do door hangers. And essentially the same exact concept for the door hangers. It needs to be very big letters, very straight to the point. You need to have a offer on there. And you guys will see my door hanger. Hey, this $50 off expires in 7 days. So people will call you. The other marketing method that I recommend is going to be Google reviews. Google reviews are very important for your business. Facebook reviews, it builds credibility, and you do need to get a good website. And when all of those combined together works very well. Like if you door hang their house, you put out a yard sign, they see your Google reviews on your website and on Google, they see your Facebook profile, you post in there, you do Facebook Lives, you're going to do very well. You're going to build credibility, and the customers are going to come to you. So essentially that would be the best source of marketing if you're just starting out. The other very good way of getting your repeat business is calling back your clients every single springtime. And it'd be very simple. You just get on the phone and you call Sally, and hello, is this Sally? Hi Sally, this is Paul with Clean PG Window Cleaning, and I'm just going through our customer client list, and I just wanted to touch base with you and see if you're interested in getting on the schedule for some window cleaning. Half of the time they're not going to answer. It's going to go to voicemail, but they're going to get the message. Some of them are going to say yes, some of them are going to say no. But once you develop that list, your business is going to be it's going to be bulletproof, and it's going to be like a train. But It is also very critically important for you to do a very good job, because if you do a bad job with your customers are not going to want to repeat with you. So that essentially explains my marketing methods that I used in the window cleaning industry. A lot of the credit here is due to a guy. His name is Matt Smith. He's from Michigan, and he has a lot of very valuable content that you guys can watch. He is one of the gurus that I really like. I don't really like gurus, but he's very, he puts his money where his mouth is. So he's done it. He's been through it. He makes more money in his businesses than he does, selling you all of this, advertising stuff. He does very well in the roofing business currently. But so yeah, that kind of explains the whole entire very basic advertising for your business. You guys can also do door knocking. I personally don't really like door knocking. I'm more of a inbound type of a company. I don't really do a lot of outbound sales. Outbound sales can work. It does work, but for me, through the customer cycle, I like it when the customer comes to me, because they're the ones reaching out to me and they're the ones that are buying from me. I like customers to buy from me. I don't like to sell my customers. So that is a very different perspective on marketing. Like, some guys are going to tell you that you need to go knock on these doors, you need to force these people, you need to make them, you got to sell them. And I don't want any of my customers to have any buyer's remorse. So if they accepted the bid, even if it's a high bid, and they're mad after, that is their fault. They're the ones that signed up for our service. And if they're getting mad later, that's on them. Versus if you sell someone very hard, you just really you really force them. You're sitting in the house. You're not getting out until you get the sale. That's just, I don't like being sold like that. So I don't sell to people like that. And people do feel your sincerity. If you're not sincere, and you're just trying to make that quick buck and just take care of yourself, it's just not a very good way to build your reputation. And companies that are the most valuable companies are the companies that have natural organic leads coming in just naturally. They don't need to have all these crazy sales guys to keep the company afloat. In some industries like pest control, you got to do those sales to make it happen. It works very well. I'm not against door knocking. It really does work. But based for me and where I'm at in my business, I like the customers coming to me, and I like them buying like they're buying at a store versus really trying to kind of sell them. So that kind of explains my marketing. So Google reviews, very important. Facebook reviews. You guys can post in Facebook groups. But for me, it's just yard signs, door hangers, and Google reviews. That's what I would do. And I also call back my list every single year to gain the business. But it really works. You just got to do a lot of signs. Some people might be mad about you doing signs. You're going to get a couple calls of people not happy about the signs, but just be smart where you place them, and you guys are going to do very well. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is our branding of our truck, kind of how I came up with this branding. And a lot of these ideas are from, there's a guy named Mike Andias with Augusta Lawn Care, and Matt Smith. He essentially gave me the idea of how to wrap our truck. You guys can hire a professional like Dan Antonelli to make some very amazing wrap on your car, but in the window cleaning industry, for most people, I don't really think it's a good idea. You'll spend $30,000 on your designs, and if you're going to be under $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 of annual revenue a year, I don't really think that those services are worth it. If your company is going to be going to $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $15 million, I think it's a great idea to hire someone like Dan to do your advertising, but your marketing, branding for your vehicles. So here in our truck, we made the design very simple. Our goal is to be very clear. You guys are going to see a lot of trucks out there. You're not going to understand what they do, and you're not going to generate any business. So you need to have contrast on your letters, so your wrap is very legible and people can recognize it. It needs to be very simple, to the point. It needs to be very clean. some guys on their trucks is just, you don't even know what they do. The letters are so small you can't read it from far away. So on this truck, you guys can see that in very big letters we say window cleaning, and we do have our 2 little side services, Christmas lights and gutter cleaning. We also have a big number. You know, some of the bigger branded guys, they don't really put a big number on because they're generating leads through their whole entire marketing system, but this truck generated leads for us. It gave us credibility as well. And then over here is my logo. This logo is actually my initial, PG, and then we actually have a little squeegee right here, and it's a water droplet, and we have the name of our company, Clean PG, and right here we have our website. Very easy to read website. If you guys have a domain name, I would recommend doing a very simple, like 5 characters. I would keep it under 10 characters just to make it very easy to remember and type in on the website. Because if it's like Northwest Spokane, Billy Joe Bob Smith, window cleaning, mountainview.com, you're not going to enter that in. It's way too long. So just keep it very, very like short and easy to the point. So that kind of explains the wrap. For equipment, what I would recommend is I'd recommend this truck right here, this Toyota Tacoma. It's just it's very comparable to the Ford Maverick. So I would probably do the Ford Maverick, the Ford Transit, I believe it's the little like minivan, or I would do these little Tacomas. They're very affordable trucks. You can find one used like this for around $7,000. And on this truck as well, I did take it to Maaco. They repainted it, put on a nice fresh coat of white paint on the truck. And then we put the wrap on, or the decals onto the truck, and the truck looks very professional. It might not be a brand new truck, but I'm also not in debt, you know, $40,000 by buying a brand new truck. For most people in this industry, like, debt is a killer. I did everything in cash. I used to have a 2021 Toyota Tacoma that we did sell off, but when you own stuff in cash, you have 0 headaches. If business gets slow, it doesn't matter. You don't really care. It's not really going to affect you very hard. Some of these gurus are going to have everything's going to be financed. They finance everything, and you know, they're getting ahead in life. They're taking advantage of the debt, but you're one bad storm from losing your boat, from losing your house, from losing all your stuff. And it puts extra stress and pressure on you that I feel like is just unnecessary. Probably get into the shade, but you just have a lot of unnecessary stress that's not really worth it at the end of the day, because you can lose it all. And if your close ratio is not there, then what's going to happen is you're going to start lowering your prices, because you got to make these payments on these trucks, and you just start running your trucks at a loss just to get your payments made for your leases or for your loan payments. So for a small business, if you're just starting out, I think it's a terrible idea to get a bunch of loans. I think first you need to see whether you have a proven business model. That means that is your product or service, is it a viable service? Then maybe you can consider getting into debt, but I would just steer clear and stay away from debt altogether. It puts you in a bad predicament. And some guys are gonna, you know, disagree with me on this, but debt sucks, man. If you can't pay it, like, it's over, you know. You'll lose your house, you'll lose a lot of stuff. So I'm a very big cash guy. And for this business, you don't need a lot. Like, you can just find a little basic truck like this, save up $7,000, get a little Tacoma like this. It's rear wheel drive, so it might not do super good in the snow, but you buy some studs, you load it up in the wintertime, and it'll actually do better than a all-wheel drive. So that kind of explains this truck. The next thing that I'm going to go over essentially is just our truck, and kind of show you guys our whole entire setup. So I personally recommend buying a ARE topper for your truck. The Maverick does have a little bit of a smaller bed, so that could give you some issues with your water fed poles. You'd essentially need to use a micro water fed pole, but from 0. but I got this topper. This topper helps us stay organized and helps us not lose any equipment on the road flying out. And my whole entire philosophy with this whole entire setup was like the Toyota philosophy of being as the most lean and efficient as possible. The other three trucks, all the three trucks, they all looked exactly the same. There was no difference. Every truck had the same stuff on them. So if you get onto whatever truck, it's exactly the same. There's all the same hoses, all the same systems. The way that the truck runs is exactly the same. So every market is different. In our market, we have a lot of lakes, we have a lot of hills, so we don't have your standard, two-story track homes everywhere. We have all kinds of windows out here. Some of you guys are just gonna have flat, some guys down in Arizona, you guys don't really have 4-story, 5-story houses. It's just 2-story. It's all just track homes that are pretty easy to clean. Over here, we need ladders, we need water-fed poles, because there's just no other way of cleaning the windows efficiently. We have a lot of lakes, and you need to have more equipment than some of you other guys out there. But over here, we have a stack ladder. Stack ladders, they are very expensive, but they're very worth it. Really makes life a lot easier when you're in those very tight spaces. You can just wedge it up against the corner. Over here, you have a nice little divot right here, so you can get yourself into the corners. And what we use to tie up these ladders are these Titan straps. These are actually very nice. Should do a very good job. You guys can swoop these up. Super nice straps. I really like these here. So, and then over here we have a 28-foot ladder. This ladder's for like gutter cleaning, primarily gutter cleaning. Christmas light stuff, some windows. We try to avoid ladders whenever we can, but it is there. It's the do-it-all ladder. Instead of having a 24-foot ladder, a 16-foot ladder, all these other ladders, you have one 28-foot ladder, and that gets most of the high stuff. Some jobs you are going to need to have a 32-foot ladder, but this ladder does a very good job for us. So over here, I'll give you guys a rundown of the inside of the side. We put all of our towels up here for the day, and this usually will last us the whole entire day. They'll do very well. And in here, it's not perfectly organized, but it's enough for it to work for us. This is the boot for the stack ladder, but over here we have some hard water removal stuff. We have the screen removal. This is the best screen removal tool you guys could use. It's just like a little flathead screwdriver, clip popper. This is going to be the best to remove screens, at least what we have found out. Over here we have our TDS meter. We have all of our extra rubbers. I don't cut any rubbers. I just buy the size that I need, and I just do it that way. It's just not worth the effort or the time to try to cut every single rubber. These are perfectly cut. They're a perfect fit every single time. So every squeegee has its own size of rubbers here. And then here, yeah, we have our little Milwaukee hand tool that we use to do the hard water removal. With employees, you guys can use some strong acid like Crystal Clear, but if your employees are not careful, you guys can damage windows. So for that reason, we're using this paste. It was more work, harder for the employees, but safer for me because I don't need to replace windows for people. So every single window cleaning job, we do use gloves. Pretty important to use gloves. The secret sauce for us is Dawn dish soap and vinegar. Your hands get dried out like crazy. Dawn is probably the best detergent soap out there. It cleans very well, but your hands will also start popping and bleeding from them getting dried out because it just pulls all the oil out of your hands. So we use gloves for all of our jobs. And then here's the belt, which I'll actually put on. And this belt here is essentially the best belt for the Spokane market, or for the inland Northwest, probably even the Seattle area too, because you guys have a lot of hills there. But this is what I found to be the best residential window cleaning belt. Over here, you guys probably can cut out some of these squeegees, get like a 12-inch and an 18-inch. But here's a 14-inch Ledge Easy handle. These are going to be the best for your residential houses. 18-inch, 14-inch right here. And then back here, I'm going to have a 10-inch for some of the smaller ones. Right here, I'm going to have a 6-inch squeegee. It's for the little French panes. Over here, I have a little pouch where I'm going to have the brush, little track brush, and I also store the steel wool in this pouch too. And sometimes I'll even put in the screen tool in here as well, like this. Back here, I have my little scrub pad. We use this on windows. If it's not too bad, this stuff works all right. Steel wool is obviously the best, quad zero, but essentially this is how the belt setup looks like. And if you need to, you guys can put on a razor, which we'll talk about post-construction cleaning, but the razor essentially would sit right here, kind of like that. But this is kind of what I found to be the best belt setup for us. It works very well. I battled a lot of hip issues, so balancing the belt was pretty important for me. Some of you guys are probably going to be way more minimalistic than me, but for me, in our company, if you're going to a window, you're not coming back to the truck to get anything else. So everything's on your belt, is here. You're not going back and forth, getting tools. Like, you got to really think about how you walk to the house and how you walk out. So if you're going back and forth to get another squeegee that's not very efficient, when everything's right here, you're more time on the glass, the more money you make. And then also with these hooks right here, we have our towels, and these towels, just 2 towels right here, like this. These are the surgical towels, and these are your 2 towels. You're going to bring in a nice bunch of towels into the house, and as you need them, you'll just go to that front door and swap them out. But this is what works very well for us. So yeah, this is the belt setup. And then I do have the mop. It's going to be inside of the truck, which I will show you guys later. Some houses we do use our little Mormon flip pad with the brass channel. And I actually saw Luke, the window cleaner. He actually takes a Mormon channel and he just cuts it straight. And you can just use the Mormon channel with Ettore rubber, but it will fit these clips a lot better because these clips do slide around on here. It does not really stay super perfect. And yeah, this is our belt setup. We do have these overalls because it's a lot better on your hips. Another key thing that I would like to also point out too is window cleaning is extremely hard on your body. Like, it is very difficult. You're always going to be bent over like this, getting behind the couch. Your wrists are going to really take a lot of strain, your elbows, because you're putting a lot of constant pressure. So you're really going to face a lot of issues in your wrists and your elbows, in your shoulders, because it's not, you're doing that continual pressure on your body. Customers might not realize this, you might not realize this, but it is very difficult on your body. It's very brutal. It's not very nice to your body. It's very equivalent to the construction industry, so something to really think about. After 10-15 years of washing windows, you're going to be pretty messed up. So either figure out better techniques or really try to exercise to combat those issues, but it will really beat you down pretty good. So yeah, so that's that there. This is the side. We also do have, if we do any commercials or big windows, commercial jobs, we do have an 18-inch, and I believe this is a 24-inch channel, super channel, and we use the Unger setup right here, like this. Just clip it in, and we can use these big bad boys to do some commercial windows. We're about 98% residential, so we don't really do a lot of commercial stuff, but we do once in a while. But yeah, that pretty much gets the whole entire setup. Razors, that pretty much goes over everything in this side piece right here. And when you guys do get a canopy, I would recommend getting a camera so you can always see the back if your truck doesn't have a backup camera. Get a nice little dash camera setup into it. It works a lot better that way. So yeah, so then in the back, essentially every truck would look exactly the same. So we have our water system here, and like I said, again, we need water fed pole here because we have a lot of tall houses. So we have our water system. We have a little 4-foot stack extension right here. We have a little giant, and we use this little giant a lot. We have a 4-foot ladder, and then we also have a 2-foot ladder. We have a little blower for gutter cleaning. We have a little container for gas. We also have a little foam pad. It's always the sink windows that suck because you got to get up on the counter, and it's always very hard on your knees. You just put this on there, get your knees on there, protect your knees. Your knees will hurt if you don't. So this setup in here, I'll open up the side door in a second, but let's move this guy back in. And then over here we have our pipe carrier. That's where we store our water fed poles. If you have a Ford Maverick with the ARE topper, you're probably gonna have to use a micro water fed pole. The micro ones are very small. There's other companies that sell them. You can get them from Windows 101. They all have their own variation of these. I personally like the Zero brand. It's been very nice. Based on what I heard, there is no difference in the carbon fiber. They all get it from the same place. The biggest difference is going to be in your clips. But the window cleaning resource, they definitely dominate the window cleaning market. So, and over here we have just a little trad pole. And then for gutter cleaning, we have this little other pole because we have a way better tip on here. Because this tip right here, cleaning gutters, is just not that good. It'll like pop out. This does not really pop out, so this works very well for cleaning gutters here. So, and then over here we have a rake and a broom with 2 smaller little pipes. You can kind of get that from the angle over there. So that's kind of how that looks like. And then over here we have our washers. Pretty much right after every single wash, we'll hang them up right here on the side. You want these to air dry, because if you don't, they're going to get moldy and pretty disgusting. So you need to make sure that you put these in a place where they can really dry out. But essentially we have them right here. Over here we have our 2 buckets. The magic sauce, Dawn, and vinegar. We'll fill the water up to the line, about 10-second squirt of Dawn and about a shot of vinegar. We have our little hose set up right here with our little quick connects. These are the best. It takes a lot of time screwing on these hoses, and when you have this little quick connect, it's way easier to screw it all in. It makes the job a lot more efficiently. Over here we have our water fed pole hose. We roll up the hose on this reel about 150 feet. This just clips right into the system when you need it. The best way to store your water fed hose right here on these reels. I believe these are from Home Depot. It needs to be this exact one. The one or maybe these were from Lowe's. It's either from Lowe's or Home Depot, but one of those stores sells a smaller one that's cheesier. This is the one that you want to get. It's a little bit bigger, beefier. These will last you 5 years. They're very easy to use. We also have the bigger hose, just in case you have a bigger job. I don't really like these fittings. They don't really sit in here very well, so they leak, which is a little bit annoying, but this is a very nice hose. Probably one of my favorite colors for the hose. Over here we have a screen washer. We use a screen washer in every job. Perfect for advertising. You probably can use a mop, but that's better because customers see it and you can get your money back pretty quick. We have 100 feet of Flexzilla for rinsing out gutters. We have a Ridge Pro for the roof, and back in that bucket we have our rope and harness system. That's when we get on a roof, we don't get fined by OSHA. We keep our employees safe on the roof, very important. So you put on that hook, get on the harness, all the rope is in there just to keep us safe during the project. So yeah, that pretty much sums it up about the truck. This is the inside. This is the camera I was talking about. It's just hardwired into the truck. And you can kind of view yourself, view the front and view the back through that camera there. So yeah, that sums it up on the truck. Let's see if I have my paper here. So I can go over some more details. So yeah, that's pretty much about our setup of our business. This is based for our market. Everyone's market is differently, but the way that our philosophy was with the business is how can we be the most efficient possible, so we're not wasting time, so all of our workers are working. Every truck is the same. There's no confusion. There's no chaos. Like, everything needs to be fine-tuned, you know, to the dot. And maybe you're not passionate about it, but you need to develop your systems in your business. That word is so cliche, systems, you know, everyone talks about systems, but yeah, just basic systems. I mean, that's all of that is a system. It's not written down anywhere, but that's the way that we do it every single day, and it works very well for us. There's zero headaches. If we lose stuff, we know what is lost, where is lost. So it really works very well for us in our business. There's a very good book. It's by Toyota. It goes over the machine that changed the world, and it talks about the Kaizen lean manufacturing process of Toyota. Toyota is a third of the size of General Motors, and yet they produce the same amount of automobiles as General Motors. So it goes to show for how well and efficient their business is. So you got to really think about your business from a very minimalistic perspective and trying to really hone in on what you're good at, which we'll talk about that later about the services. So for software, you guys do need to use a CRM, a customer, service database. Very important. I personally use Mark8. I really like it. It's not overpriced. I know Jobber, it's probably overpriced. They do have a very big sales model. They're definitely a more salesy CRM, so you're going to be spending a lot more money on Jobber. But you have Housecall Pro, you have Mark8, Yardbooks, that's free. I probably wouldn't use Yardbooks. I would probably just use Mark8. The Customer Factor, there is Housecall Pro. There's some other ones. You guys can spend a lot of money on CRMs. I probably wouldn't if I was running a window cleaning business. I'd just stick to Mark8, Jobber, Housecall Pro, or the Customer Factor. But you definitely need to have that CRM. You need to track your numbers. You need to understand what your close ratio is. Your customers need to get a professional invoice. You need to get a professional quote. You don't really want to be doing stuff on paper. We're already living in the tech boom, and you gotta get off the paper, man. You gotta have a CRM. Might be hard, but it just makes life a lot easier. You have a calendar in there. It just works very well. If some customers are not paid up, you can see that. Hey, this guy owes me money. The CRM shows you, and you're ready to go. For payroll, we use QuickBooks. We use QuickBooks both for bookkeeping and for payroll. You can use Augusto for payroll. You can use ADP, I believe. There's a lot of different services you can use for payroll. Me personally, I do all my own books and I do all my own payroll because that's actually the most passionate thing about my business is I like to get down, do the payroll, understand where my money is going. It's the puzzle that I love. So my favorite part of my business is doing my bookkeeping. I really like it. And I feel like it's a very good idea for you to understand your books, not just send it out to the accountant and not worry about it. If you do send it to your accountant and not worry about it, I'd recommend getting your business audited by a third party to make sure you don't have any kind of fraud. Most fraud in businesses, it happens in the accounting department. You can just write yourself a check for $10,000 from the business. You can deposit that check into your bank account as an accountant or as a front desk lady or someone that's working in the front desk, and then go back into QuickBooks, erase your name, and then put in the name of window cleaning resource tools. So in the expenses, it says tools. But if you look on all the bank statements, you'll be able to see all the checks, and you can see, hey, this check went to my employee for $10,000. So you can really pinpoint and understand where the money has gone. Most fraud, when you do build a bigger business, over $1 million, $2 million, most fraud, it comes from people stealing money from your accounting. It's easiest place to steal, and that's usually where people steal it. Some people can steal equipment, that will happen, but on a grand scale, it's going to be in the money department. So I recommend understanding that. I personally like QuickBooks Desktop. That's what I use. I use it on a Mac. It's on a remote server. I would recommend, if you're just being a single man band, I'd recommend QuickBooks Self-Employed. It's just a very simple, I think it's $10 a month. Or I'd recommend QuickBooks Online. I don't like online because I'm kind of old school. I really like how the QuickBooks Desktop works. There's just a lot more variations on how you can do your books. So it's very nice. And I have the assisted payroll, so I just enter in all the information and I can run all the paychecks for my employees. So the next thing is going to be about employees. Employees, man, they're the biggest blessing for your business. Me personally, I really like people. I love working with people. I'm very goal orientated, very mission driven, and employees for me was probably the best thing that has happened to me. I just love employees. I love showing up, working with guys, struggling with them, going through hardship. You build camaraderie. It's very, very nice. And my philosophy about employees is you already have so much negativity, so much negative energy going against you. You got to get out there. You got to get a lead. You're trying to, sell a service to a client, and you already have a lot of pressure that's going against you as a business owner. And my philosophy is that employees should not be that kind of pressure. Take care of your employees. Your employees, they are the face of your business. More important than having a nice truck and having nice equipment is taking care of your employees. Pay them a fair wage. They represent the face of your company. And there obviously has to be standards with employees, but once you have great guys, take care of them. You got to look at yourself and ask yourself this question, would I work for myself? Picture yourself as your boss. Are you that good boss? Would you really want to work for yourself? If you would not, then you need to change. You need to change yourself as a business owner, develop yourself so you are worth working for. I would work for myself. I enjoy working for myself. I would, if I was my own boss, I would be very happy. Some employers, they fight against the employees, they fight against the customers, and they just have a very crappy customer culture. It's not a bad thing to have negativity, to have stress in your business, but you got to have that camaraderie. And when you do, it works very well. And as a boss, you got to be humble. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to tell your employees to do stupid stuff, and if they're not being efficient, you got to own up to it and be like, hey, that was not efficient on my part as the business owner. We're going to go pivot a different way. You got to be humble. If your employee asks you something that you don't know, and you kind of figure out from there. And then on the other part of finding employees and looking for what kind of employee you guys want, I used Indeed. You guys a little secret tip is, make your business page look very nice. Ask your employees to leave you a review on Indeed, and just do a free listing. And people are scrolling through Indeed on a regular basis, and the labor market has definitely softened, so it's a lot easier to hire people now. But put up pictures on there and start interviewing people. To hire one employee, I'd probably go through 30 applications, probably go through about 10, 15 interviews. A lot of no-shows. It's very difficult. There is just a lot of issues trying to get through it. But when you find that guy that you like, you hire him. And when you go to hire your first guy, you're gonna make a mistake. You're gonna make mistakes. When I would hire a bad employee, I'd tell my other employees that, hey, I made a mistake. I hired the wrong guy. So, and you start interviewing people like crazy. understand how to interview people by just interviewing a lot of people. You start like putting people into buckets, and then you start seeing the character and the attitudes, and you start like kind of gauging out who the people are. So you'll figure it out. You're gonna have a couple bad hires. You are gonna need to fire some people, and that's okay. I mean, I hired one employee. He was a sales guy, sold me to the moon. I was so sold. I was just like, wow, this guy's gonna make my business amazing, until he joins our company, and we have very strict systems and operating procedures, and we all follow them to the T, to the dot. You show up on time. You know, I cannot tolerate people showing up late. The way that we work inside, and just a lot of attitude issues, and yeah, I had to let him go. And you know, it was actually kind of the funniest way that he was terminated. But he just called me, started yelling at me, cussing me out, and I was not really aggressive, but we just talked, and then, you know, it was a very simple conversation. I was like, hey, you know, it's not in my best interest to have you on our team anymore, and that was it. He was terminated. But employees are very important. They are going to be the business. If you're really trying to build a business, you need to have employees. Remove all your personal drama from your business. Don't have family working with you, so you can separate yourself and just have a very professional environment for your employees. For employees, it's great when their workplace is stable. They don't have a crazy boss that's just going to harass them, but they have a place where they can work. Their voices are heard. They can get paid, and they can hustle and work hard for you. So you obviously gotta make money at the end of the day, but employees are something that are great add-on to your business. You got to develop that culture, and you honestly don't even need to sell your employees. Like, if your employees see that you're working hard, they're going to work hard too. Your employees are going to work 80% of your capacity. So if you suck as a boss, your employees are going to suck. It's not rocket science. If you're unwilling to do that hard job, and you're sending your employee to do that hard job because you don't want to do it, like, you're just building a bad culture, you know? With my employees, I don't ask them to do anything I wouldn't do myself, and they feel that, and you start building that culture. And as you scale, you get out of those positions in your business, but that spirit in the business of working hard and doing hard stuff, it continues to roll. But if you're trying to be lazy and trying to just like skim through, like, it's the good guys, the A players that you want to keep on your team, they're going to leave. They're going to leave because you suck. That's it. But when you're there hustling with them, they see that their boss is helping them out, and they know that you have their back, and you understand them when they come back and they're complaining about a hard job or something. It just makes the culture a lot easier, and they'll continue doing those hard jobs for you and making you money. Hiring, firing, training, hiring, firing. It's very expensive. It's very expensive to train up a new guy, get him on board, put him on payroll, set him all up. It costs a lot of money to do that, for you just to fire him or him to quit. So when you find a good guy, just pay him a little bit more, take care of him, and he's going to do very well. I recommend the pay for performance model. You pay your employees a percentage. So we would do 25%. I would be anywhere from 20, 25 to 30%. I think right now we're doing 30% because we're just a little bit slower. But if a window cleaning job's $1,000, you pay your employees or employee for that job $250, and you pay them a base wage of like $20 an hour. So if that $1,000 job takes 1 hour for one employee to complete the job, he gets paid $20 for that 1 hour, and he gets a bonus of $230. If it takes him 2 hours to do that job, he gets paid for 2 hours, which is $40, $20 an hour. And then his bonus is going to be $210. So his pay is directly correlated to his work ethics. So you don't need to track your guys. Your employees don't want to slack off because you treat them like a business owner. They're responsible. They want to get done nice and efficiently and quickly to go home, because they're not going to be making more money if they're just trying to milk the clock. And if they do a bad job, they're clocking back in, they're going back to the job, and they're wasting more time to fix their mistakes that they made at the house. So the pay for performance is the best way to pay our employees, I think, in most industries, if not all of them. So that's kind of the gig about my experience about employees, about paying them. W-2, don't do 1099. 1099s are just not. If you have a branded truck, don't pay your employees 1099. You're going to be facing a lot of fines from the government. Business partnerships, this is my 2 cents. Don't do business partnerships. They suck. I had a guy that wanted to be a business partner to do my books. I really love the guy, still really like the guy, but it just was not worth the 10% of ownership in my business to just run my books. So I would stay out. A lot of partnerships sink. If there's a disagreement, one guy is buying this, and there's just a lot of issues. When one person's in charge, it just works smoothly. Train up guys, build them up to that level, and then delegate the task to them. Don't give up ownership. Services that we offered was window cleaning, Christmas lights, gutter cleaning. We also did do pressure washing. And I'll just go over window cleaning. We primarily do residentials. I hate post-construction cleanings. I don't recommend you to do post-construction window cleanings. They're just very difficult. Builders usually don't take care of their windows, and they expect the windows to be brand new. Sometimes it's more efficient just to install brand new windows. If your builder protects the windows and makes them very nice, then maybe you can do post-construction. My 2 cents, just don't do them. Just stay out of them. You're gonna have a lot of headaches. It's very taxing on the body. It is very brutal on you, and stay out of it. I don't like doing them, so I don't make my employees do them. So if a builder calls us, I don't care if it's good money. It's not, whatever money you make is not good money in post-construction. So just don't do those. Gutter cleaning is a perfect add-on for window cleaning since you have all your ladders and equipment. Very easy service. If you're on a very steep roof, charge accordingly. Charge $1,000, $2,000. Gutters are, they're definitely monotonous and hard. Christmas lights, that is a service that I did start. That is a service that I'm going to continue to do in my business. It's a very nice service. You don't really need a lot of money, and you can make a very good amount of money doing that. Pressure washing, I did pressure wash. It is very complicated. Pressure washing is a very complicated service, very difficult to scale. And going back to the Toyota philosophy, there's just a lot of moving components. You have a $800 pressure washer pump that your employee can burn out. You have a bunch of plants that he can kill. If he doesn't flush his equipment from all the bleach, he'll destroy all your equipment. Equipment's always breaking. You need to pay your guy a lot of money for him to understand the whole entire thing. And this industry is very difficult. Maybe if you're doing big commercial jobs where you're on site, maybe that can make sense. Some of you guys down south do very well. But I personally would not recommend pressure washing. It is not very healthy. Most pressure washers, they develop a bunch of lung issues by the age of 40. They bronchitis, all these just cancer in the lungs. Bleach destroys your body. Really, you just got to think about that in very simple terms. It destroys your lungs. It destroys your body. And after 10, 15, 20 years of spraying that sauce, you are going to destroy yourself. So you need to really factor that in when you do price to foul. You're always going to smell like bleach, and that was a reason. The smell of bleach was the reason why I did shut that service down in my company. It is also very hard to scale because there are just way too many moving components, and you can't just plug in an employee and have the pressure washing service, be very smooth. They'll spray down a house. You have oxidized, siding. You have there's a lot of other issues with pressure washing where you have thermal bridging. You got to really understand the industry, and the amount of knowledge you need to know is just very difficult to hire and train competent people in that business. Window cleaning is a little bit easier than pressure washing. I personally would not recommend it. It's just very stressful. We made good money. We did some tile roofs that were very nice. We've done very well doing it. You make way more money than window cleaning, but it's a lot more taxing, a lot more stressful. It's a lot more components going on, so I would not do that. Personally, I would just do one service, even though I wouldn't make a lot of money, but it'd be very lean and efficient. You would not need a lot of crazy stuff. Like some of these guys, they do dryer vent cleaning, pressure washing, window cleaning, gutter cleaning, Christmas lights. They do permanent Christmas lights, landscape lighting. Like if you do that, you're kind of crazy because you're not going to be able to train your employees to do a good job. Like, you want to remove yourself from all your parts of your business. And when you have an employee, you can't train him in a month to do everything. It's very difficult. So really lean yourself out on the services that you do and just focus on the stuff that you're good at. You're going to gross less, but you're going to profit a lot more money and have a lot less stress. And don't do everything. It's just, you're going to be, a jack of all trades and a master of none. It's very true. You're not going to be very efficient or lean doing your all your services. You'll see these guys, they do roofing, they do gutters, they install gutters, clean windows, they do like everything, and it's just chaotic. So be very lean on your services. It's very important for that. So that pretty much goes over our services. Window cleaning, pretty easy to start up. But if I was to do it over again, I would probably just do window cleaning and maybe Christmas lights in the wintertime when we're very slow. But that's kind of the gig there. Gurus. Guys, there's a lot of gurus out there trying to sell you a lot of fluff. And understand this, that your guru that you're watching, for the most part, he's making all of his profit selling you that course. He is not making his profit from his service of his business, because the profit margins selling you a course are just insanely high. You'll make a 80% profit margin by selling you a $2,000 course. And you'll have these guys that will say, buy my course, you got to invest in yourself. You'll hear a lot of terminology like that. But some of the advice you're going to get is free. But you got to listen to it, and you got to be willing to hustle and grind and get after it. And most advice that you want is going to be from guys that are out there working. They're not trying to sell you anything. They're busy with their own lives. But if you can get that insight into their lives, they will really help you out. But the entire guru thing, it's all really a lie. Oh, your business is going to be so great. You got to go through the hustle. It's going to be so hard. And some of these guys, I see they're struggling in their business. They're going through these heartaches. They're working their life out. They can't even be present at home. And they need to continue going through that pain. It's like, if you're going through the pain and there's no gold on the other side of the rainbow, don't do it. It's really not worth it. Sacrificing your family to make nothing is not worth it. If you're really going through a lot of pain and you can't make $200,000 of profit a year after 5 years of really sacrificing your time, you need to take that behind your barn, that business, and you need to shoot it. You need to put it down and get into something that will make you more money. So after a certain point, you got to really look at your business from a purely objective or subjective perspective, so you understand that, hey, this is not the place where I need to be. Window cleaning is a transitionatory business. You are going to transition into something else for most people, and that's kind of what I think. But for gurus, take it easy. They'll take a lot of your money. They really won't help you out. There is some gurus that are actually very good. They've done it. They've been at that mark, and they've built that business. There's a guy that I followed. His name is Matt Smith. I already mentioned him. Very good guy. He'll give you guys very good feedback. The guy makes more money in his businesses than he does trying to sell you his stuff on YouTube. He does have a marketing business as well, where you guys can get all your print marketing materials. He does very good advice. That's one guru I really like. There's no fancy boat. He's not trying to show off. He's going to tell you that it's going to suck. It's going to be hard. A guy is going to have a nice Lambo and tell you, hey, how you can get a Lambo too. And poor people get taken advantage of because they all want to be rich. They all die with the want, but it's a lot of hard work, and you don't see the other side of that in business. So just take it easy on your gurus. Don't waste a lot of money. Yes, investing in yourself is important. It's good when you put money on the line, but most gurus suck. So just be very careful with them. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is why I am pretty much wrapping up with my window cleaning business and why I am shutting down. So it's been a very great run. I really loved it a lot, but there's not enough money in the business to really scale the business to a very big business. For every 100 roofing companies that are doing over $1 million a year of gross revenue, you might have one window cleaning company that's doing over $1 million or $1 million a year. If you just look on the road on the trucks, if you see fleets of vans they're all HVAC, they're roofers, they're plumbers, they're electricians. They're working in the trades where there's just way more money. And yes, in the window cleaning business, you can have great profit margins, but if you're only grossing $200 or $300 or $400, $500,000 a year, a 20% profit margin is not really like, yeah, it's money, but it's not really that much money. Like if I gross $200,000 a year at 20%, it's going to be, I believe that's $40,000 a year. That's not very good wages. But if I'm roofing and I have a $4 million business and I'm grossing 10%, I'm already making more money. I think that's $400,000 a year. So your percentages might be lower, but it's because you're playing with bigger numbers, your percentage can be lower. There's a guy named Paul Garner. He's I believe from Pennsylvania, but he has a sign business, and yeah, his sign business might have a lower percentage of profit per job, but his tickets are way higher. And because of that, he has bigger economies of scale, and there's just more money. You're playing with more money, and it's just a lot more efficient. You can pay technicians more. You can pay a guy a salary of $80,000 a year, $100,000 a year, $50,000 a year. In the window cleaning industry, that's very difficult to do. You got to really be, charging a lot of money. And for us, the close ratio, was at like 35, 40%. If it goes any lower than that, then we're pretty much capped out on our pricing for our business. What we currently charge is $9 a paint for exterior and $15 a paint for exterior and interior. That includes screens and tracks. But yeah, just really thinking about the business, and the money is just not there. The clients are very difficult. Not all of them, 20% of them really do make it very hard. People accusing you of damaging their siding. Their windows are 20 years old. They need to be replaced, and they expect them to look brand new. So you're gonna have a lot of issues. 10 different people have 10 different understanding. They have way different understandings of what a clean window is. In roofing or electrical or HVAC, if your HVAC system is broken, it's broken. It's A plus B equals C. Same as electrical. If their outlet's not working, it's not working. You fix it and it's over. A clean window is, there's 10 different versions of clean windows to 10 different people, so it's very subjective. So you really open yourself up to a lot of headaches, like just dealing with those customers. And you're just dealing with very low numbers. A $300, $400 window cleaning, you got to do so many of those jobs compared to one roof. You roof a house for $15,000, that's a half a month's worth of work for two guys washing windows, and you can do that in about 4 days of roofing. So it's just, the economies of scale are not in the business. And I think pressure washing is part of it too, where you just can't really grow yourself to that upper degree. So I'm transitioning out because it's just not worth the effort that I'm gonna continue to put in, and I can't get the result that I want out of the business. So I am going to be going into the electrical industry. So I got to get my license, and I got to restart the whole entire process. But the industry, at the end of the day, there is not really a lot of money in it. There's more money in gurus selling you that it's so great. But if you really want to build a multi-million-dollar company, you need to become a roofer. I would probably become a roofer, if not an electrician. Do plumbing, HVAC. I looked on these HVAC bills, to run the ducts on a brand new house. I mean, you'll spend $50,000, and you can make that in about 2-3 weeks with just two guys doing the HVAC on that, very complicated house. Your furnace swaps are like $12,000, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 just to swap out an HVAC unit. That'll take you about 2 days to do. So you got to really try to find an industry where you're just dealing with more money. And you guys will notice there's a lot less gurus in the plumbing industry, electrical industry, HVAC industry. It's a lot harder to get in, but it is going to make you a lot more money. There is a lot of gurus in the roofing industry, but the roofing industry is also very great because you're just dealing with a way bigger dollar amount. You can actually build a company. You can pay your employees $80,000 a year because you just have the bigger dollar amount that you're playing with. Christmas lights is going to be a little bit harder. The only way you can really do well in Christmas lights is by doing commercial work, because you're just doing jobs on a grand scale where you're doing a $100,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 job, and it really makes sense to grow your business to that degree. So yeah, the business in itself, it's great to learn, to get educated, but it's definitely not a business to retire on. I really doubt it. I mean, all these gurus, they all sold their businesses and they're doing something else, and they're most likely not going to start another window cleaning business because it is pretty brutal on the body. Very difficult to hire employees. Your employees need to be very clean. You're going into expensive houses. You need a really very difficult lining up the labor for the window cleaning aspect. But my advice, if you're going to do it alone. Make some side money, get out of it, get into something where you're going to make more money. I got a lot of valuable education, a lot of personal growth development, so I'm not mad about it, not disappointed about it. I'm very thankful, but I would not do it again, but I would definitely try to get all the knowledge that I got. But yeah, that's pretty much my knowledge over the last 9 years. It's a great industry to get into, to work for yourself for a while, and then I'd recommend getting out of it and getting into something else. Over here, we are renting land from another friend of mine. Renting land is probably going to be the best for $300, $400, $500 a month. Not like spending $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on a shop. You got to do a lot more money to do that. But yeah, that pretty much about sums up my whole entire run in the window cleaning business. I probably wouldn't do it. Neither would I do pressure washing. Some of you guys might be like, oh, you're just giving up. But at the end of the day, looking at other industries, it's not really there. Yeah, that's pretty much my take on the business. So thank you guys for watching this video. And I did document this kind of for myself. And thank you to all my employees. Vitali, Thomas, Connor, you guys are pretty much like the best guys I've ever had. And I really love you guys. You guys are incredible. And to all the other guys that have joined our organization over the last 4 or 5 years. So thank you guys, and we'll see you guys later.